so when it comes to starting your makeup for your wedding, the number one thing you want to do first is make sure that your skin is cleansed and clean. So the morning of your wedding, you want to make sure that you cleanse your skin, put a little moisturizer on in the morning, and then when it's time to go ahead and do your makeup, this is where you're going to start. So whenever I start to do my makeup, the number one thing that I always do first is you always want to moisturize, because I start with my eyes first and then I go ahead and do my face. And during the time that I do my eyes and lashes and everything like that, it kind of adds up to be around 20-30 minutes, which is the perfect amount of time when it comes to putting moisturizer on and letting it soak into the skin. And the moisturizer that I personally love to put on before I go ahead and do my makeup is the Kiehl's Ultra Facial Moisturizer. The thing I love the most about this is the fact that it does have the ingredient glycerin in it. And what glycerin is, it's a product that really holds the makeup down like no other. It's in primers, it's in so many makeup products, but for me, I personally feel like I have seen such a huge difference in the longevity of my makeup from using this moisturizer. A good amount, not too much, because you don't want to be like an oil slick on your face. So now I'm just going to go ahead and put it on places on my face, and then I'm just going to rub it in. Focus it into the smile lines, because my smile lines really do crease, so I really like to make sure I focus a lot of the moisturizer in there. I love this. This is so much fun. And then the next thing that I do is I go in with a eye cream. I personally love eye creams, and I love to put them on again before I go ahead and do my makeup. So the one that I love is the Mario Badescu Ceramide Eye Gel. It's green. It's a little crazy looking, but I do feel like I see a difference in my under eyes with my wrinkles and creasing and everything like that when it comes to my concealer when I use this product. So a little goes a very long way. You don't need a lot. And just tap it into my under eyes. You don't want to really, when it comes to under eyes, blend it too hard, because the under eye is a very sensitive area. So if you just go ahead and pat it in. When it comes to doing eyes for your wedding day, of course, it's your personal preference. You're the bride, it's your day. You can wear whatever you want, but I feel like every single bride wants to look very elegant, and they want to kind of just accentuate the features and accentuate their beauty. So for this look, I'm thinking of going very simple, minimal, with a little bit of smokiness, because I personally like to have a little bit of smokiness in my looks. And I feel like it just makes your eyes look more defined and more pronounced. So first and foremost, I always prime my eyes, whether I'm doing my eyes or a bridal eye. For me, I love the Urban Decay Potion Primer in Original. It is my favorite primer ever. My eyeshadows, if I don't use it, my eyeshadow creases within about an hour. So using this product, oh my gosh, I cannot live without this. Just apply it right on the eyelids, and then blend it out with my finger. Okay, so now that the eyeshadow primer is good, we're gonna go ahead and start with our eyeshadows. So the palette that I'm gonna be using for the majority of this look is gonna be the Lorac Pro palette. This is the first one. I personally love this palette, and I want to go ahead and use it for this tutorial, because if you are a bride and you're doing your own makeup and you wanna kind of stay on budget, I feel like this is a great palette. I may go in, disclaimer, I may go in with one shadow that's not a part of this. I don't know yet. It's kind of just something that I have in my mind right now. But if you are a bride and you kind of want to stay on budget, I feel like it's easier to just buy an eyeshadow palette like this. I believe this is like $40 or something, instead of me using a bunch of like MAC shadows and you have to spend like $100 on these little eyeshadows. So I thought it would just be easier just going with one palette. So first, as always, I'm going to go ahead and highlight the under eye. I like to use a matte shadow for the majority of the time when it comes to highlighting underneath my brow, especially for a bridal look, because I don't want to look like a disco ball. So first, I'm going to go in with this shade right here. This is called Cream, with this fluffy angled brush, and put this right underneath the brow, tapping it in, and that's going to give you that really nice highlighted look right under the eyes. Okay, so next for our eye look, I'm gonna go in with this brush. This is the Morphe M330 brush. It looks like this, and it's a really nice fluffy brush. I also love it because it does kind of have a tapered end to it, so I feel like it gets right into, that crease, and you can blend it out really easy. So I'm gonna go in with this brush, and I'm gonna take the shade Taupe. Now I'm gonna start to bring this right into the crease. The other thing I would recommend if you are doing your own makeup for your wedding is go in a little bit at a time, because I feel like the biggest thing when it comes to doing your eye makeup, and just really honestly, I feel like I think about this with everything. If you put too much product down, it's gonna be harder for you to blend it out. So go a little bit at a time. And of course, if you wanna add more, you can, but it's easier to start off with just a little bit than to go intense, go in and really try and blend it out. I'm gonna go from the outer corner to the inner corner, going back and forth in windshield wiper motions, as well as circular motions, and blend it up. And this is where you're gonna go ahead and start to blend this shadow with that brow bone highlight so it all is nice and blends together. Okay, now I'm gonna go in with my Sigma Blending E25 brush. I'm gonna go in actually with the Shade Mauve. I was gonna go with Sable right away, but I think I'm gonna add a little bit of this right into the crease, being that my shirt is a bit of a pinkish. Add a little bit of this color right into the crease. So starting from the outer corner, I'm just gonna go ahead and blend this right into the crease. But the majority of this bridal look, I want it to be kind of nice and soft. So adding this color, I feel like it kind of dims down the transition shade a little bit and just adds some more dimension and definition to the eye look. And the main part of every single look is making sure that it's blended out. So going back with my blending brush from before, I'm just gonna go ahead and blend this out as always. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead with that same E25 blending brush by Sigma, and I'm gonna go in with this shade right here, Sable. This is where my tip, a little bit at a time, goes a long way, because this shade is intense, but if you go a little at a time and you keep blending it, it will look really beautiful. I'm gonna start to add this right into the outer corner for definition. I do this, I'm kind of going side to side and also in circular motions. I'm gonna start to bring this inward. And again, this is just gonna add that little bit of smokiness that we want to this look, and it's also gonna add some definition to our eye look. And just blending this into our eye look. And again, going back with our big fluffy brush and just blending all of this out. Okay, so now for the lid shade, you have two options. I don't know which option I'm gonna go with right now. Okay, here's option number one. The one thing that I'm doing, I'm actually doing it on a bride very soon, is I'm going in with the shade Cream, and I'm gonna go ahead and put that all over the lid. And because she has a little bit of a pink undertone in her dress, then I go in with the shade Light Pink and add that kind of right here in the center and blend the two into each other. So you do have that kind of pop of pink, so then it will go with her dress. That's one option you can go ahead and do if you want to have kind of a complete matte eyeshadow look. But one of the eyeshadows that I absolutely love using on brides is this one right here. This is by MAC, and this one right here, it's called All That Glitters. And I kind of feel like I want to use it today. I'm going to go in with All That Glitters by MAC. They do sell it individually, so and the MAC eyeshadows now are $6, so you can go ahead and just buy this eyeshadow, like I said, and along with the palette, and you're good. Using my finger, I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this all over the lid. Another color that I love as well, if you don't want to use All That Glitters, is this one right here in the palette. It's called Champagne. I'm actually gonna go ahead and just add a little bit of that on top so you guys can see how nice that shadow looks as well. That looks actually really pretty. So you can go in and have All That Glitters like that, or add a little bit of Champagne, or I actually love using that color Champagne on its own. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply that all over. Okay, so now I'm going back with my blending brush with no additional product on it. I'm gonna go ahead and start to blend that shadow into the rest of our eye look, so it isn't just chilling. So now we're gonna go ahead and do our wing liner, and then we'll go back to the palette and add a little bit more smokiness in a little bit. So I'm going in with my Inglot Gel Liner in number 77 with my Sigma E05 Winged Liner Brush. This is my favorite gel liner. It doesn't move, it won't crease, it will not do anything. It doesn't budge at all. It's by far my favorite liner. I think it's the blackest. It's the easiest to work with. So this is by far my favorite. For the purpose of this, because it is a wedding day and I want my wing to be good, I'm going to go in with Scotch tape. And the easiest way to do your winged liner, if you're not an expert, is using Scotch tape, because it will give you that straight line. So you're just gonna go ahead, rip off a piece, put it on the back of your hand to get off the stickiness, and just apply it, lining up with your lower lash line, and make sure that both sides are completely even as well. I kind of want to have a very small and thin wing. Go ahead and try my best to keep it small. The line against your tape. Again, this will give you the best line if you are a beginner with your winged liner. So with that line, then I'm going to go ahead and connect it. Okay, so now just going in and filling in our wing. Pretty much how I want the wing to look. Again, I don't want it to be really intense because it is a bridal look. I want to keep it nice and soft and romantic. So I am going to keep the wing just like that. So going ahead and doing the same thing on the other eye. So now we're going to go ahead and apply our false lashes. So first I'm going in and putting on a coat of mascara. I'm going to be using my Galactic Beauty Star Lash Mascara, and this is in the shade Mink Black. Any black mascara will do. I'm not too picky when it comes to mascara because of the fact that I just go ahead and apply false lashes right on top. But I did have this one in my collection, so I have been using it lately and I really do like it. I think I'm gonna go with the Esquito ones because I do really love these lashes. These are the Esquito lashes in the style Voila, and they're really beautiful. I love wearing these. They're one of my favorite lashes that I own in my collection. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply these to my eyes. Then once the lashes are on, as you can see, I'm gonna go ahead and push them up just a little bit. And then also going in with my tweezer, this is when I like to go ahead and squeeze my false lash and my real lashes together, because then that's gonna blend the lashes into each other, so then you don't, in your photos, have the false lash and then you can see your actual real lashes underneath. So that is one lash on, and as you can see, they're really nice, but they're not too intense. They're not too full, they're not too thick. Just a really beautiful lash. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply my other lash to my other eye. All right, so like I said, we're gonna go back to the eyes and add a little bit of definition in a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and start to do the face. When it comes to doing your face, you wanna make sure that you get a really good primer that will help with the longevity of your foundation, and because that's kind of the main focus of your whole wedding makeup. You want your makeup to stay in place and look its best all day. So my favorite primer ever is the Hourglass Veil Primer. I've said it in so many of my tutorials, so many of my videos. It's just my favorite primer. I have this in my makeup kit to use on my clients. It's kept my makeup in place all day long without creasing, without moving, budging, nothing. So this is my favorite primer. So I'm gonna go ahead and dot this all over the face, and then as always, blend it in. The next primer I'm going to go in with is another one of my favorites. I always use a pore minimizing primer because I do have larger pores right here in this area, but I do love to use this on pretty much my whole face because it does also smooth out my face. So if you do have texture issues, if you do have larger pores, I really recommend using this. This is the Dr. Bryant Pores No More Pore Refiner Primer. This is the best pore minimizing primer that's out there. It's so amazing. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply this right to the areas of my face that I usually apply a pore minimizing primer, and going in all different directions because you want to fill the pore in, and being that your pore is circular, you kind of just want to move it and put it in all different directions, and that's going to fill in the pores and the imperfections the best. And then last but not least, this step is optional, but of course I have to do it because this is my favorite thing when it comes to color correcting. This is the Becca Backlight Targeted Color Corrector. This is in the shade Pistachio, which is green, and it covers up redness. So I'm gonna be covering this area like crazy using this. So if you do have redness, you can go ahead and do the same thing. If you don't, then of course you can skip this step. While at this set, I'm gonna go ahead and talk with you guys about two of my favorite foundations when it comes to doing brides and photography. So these two are by far my favorite foundations. I talked about this one as well in my prom tutorial. This is the NARS Sheer Glow Foundation. This color is in Stromboli, which is medium 3. I love Sheer Glow. It just gives such a beautiful look to the skin. I feel like it covers the skin really, really well. It doesn't crease, doesn't move. And my other favorite is the xoxo Aqua Foundation. Now this shade is 143. This is one of my top foundations that I have in my collection that is one of my favorites. It does not crease in my smile lines, which if you guys know is a huge, huge thing for me. It is one of my favorite foundations. It's so amazing, it's so beautiful. The thing that I love the best about these foundations, like I said, is that they look so beautiful in photography. Because you don't want a foundation that has a lot of SPF in it for your wedding day, because SPF will give that white flashback and white cast in your photos. So you wanna have a foundation that you know looks good in photography, and these two are by far my favorite. Another thing I would recommend if you're a bride is trying out a foundation, whether it's one of these or it's one of your own favorite, and wearing it probably for a couple days, like a month or so before your wedding, because if you do have a reaction to it, because then you kind of have time to recover from it. I wouldn't recommend trying a new foundation like the day or a week before your wedding, because God forbid if you have a reaction to it. So I would definitely recommend trying your foundation or trying any kind of foundation about a month before. For today, I'm gonna go with my xoxo Aqua Foundation. It is a little more pricier than the NARS, but like I said, it is one of my favorite foundations, so I'm gonna go ahead and shake it. Then for foundation brush, I'm gonna go ahead and use my Morphe E31 brush. I love, 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 love this brush. Push the hair back. And when it comes to applying foundation, I like to go ahead and stipple it on. I don't like to blend it, so I'm gonna go ahead and start to stipple it on like this. I personally don't like to blend my foundation because I feel like not only does it sheer out the coverage of your foundation, but when you press your foundation into your skin, it actually helps with the longevity of your foundation as well. Making sure you also get the ears and down the neck. Okay, and now that we have the skin completely covered, now we're gonna go ahead, and another step, which is also optional, is I'm gonna go ahead and conceal the dark circles under my eyes. If you do not have dark circles, of course you don't need to do this step. I'm gonna go in with my tried and true Anastasia Cream Contour Kit in medium with my Sigma P84 brush. Apply this right under the eyes. A little goes a very long way. This kind of thing, you don't wanna put too much orange because you don't want your under eyes to look like a pumpkin. Then after that, while we let this set under the eyes, we're gonna go ahead and do the brows. So for brows, I'm gonna go ahead and use my Anastasia Brow Wiz in Soft Brown. And then I'm gonna go ahead and fill in the rest of my brow with my Anastasia Brow Powder in Soft Brown as well. Now after that, we're gonna go in with our concealer. Now the under eyes are pretty much set. I'm gonna go in with one of my personal favorite concealers. This is the MAC Pro Longwear. My shade is NW20. When you apply your concealer, you wanna go in a triangle motion, because that is the most flattering way to apply concealer. And then going with my foundation brush, go ahead and apply that and blend it into the rest of my eye. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start to highlight the rest of my face. I love MAC Prep and Prime Pen in Light Boost, which is the yellow shade. So I'm gonna go ahead and highlight the rest of my face so that everything balances out. Forehead, center of my nose, chin, and then also just a little bit on my under eyes. Not too much, because since this is a bridal tutorial, I don't wanna be so intensely highlighted under my eyes, but I do wanna add a little bit of brightness. And then just going back in with my foundation brush, I'm gonna go ahead and blend all this out. Okay, so now before we go ahead and start to set everything, I like to do a cream contour. I feel like it looks more natural in a sense. I'm actually gonna use a liquid contour, cream, liquid, you know what I mean? So my favorite thing to do recently, I've been loving it probably the past month or two, is using the Giorgio Armani Maestro Liquid Summer Drops. This is in 100, and I use my Sephora 57 brush, and I'm gonna go ahead and contour. You wanna kind of make that invisible line to the corner of your mouth, but don't bring it all the way to the corner of your mouth. Same foundation brush I've been using the whole time. I'm just gonna go ahead and blend this out. has been the La Mer translucent powder. I'm gonna go ahead and set my under eyes with my Sigma F35 brush. This, I recently did a kind of side-by-side review of the La Mer and the Laura Mercier translucent powder. If you have Laura Mercier, it still is gonna give you a beautiful finish to your skin, as well as it's gonna keep your makeup in place all day. Taking my concealer brush, I'm gonna go ahead and get all of that creasing out. And with my Sigma brush already with powder on it, I'm gonna go ahead now and set everything. And when you go ahead and set, you wanna make sure that you press the powder in, because it's going to again help with the longevity, and it's going to keep your concealer in place all night. The forehead, making sure that you press it in so again it stays in place all night. Do the smile lines. We're going to go ahead and just dust this all over the rest of the places on our face. So next we're going to go ahead and set our contour. And my favorite palette and powders to use to set my contour is from the Kat Von D Shade Light Contour Palette. And I'm also going to be using this Sigma Large Contour Brush. This is the F40. And what I do is I like to go in and I mix these two shades right here, because I don't want my contour to be way too warm, but I personally for myself don't like it to be just this kind of solid color, because I feel like it looks really kind of muddy and dirty on me. So I do like to mix these two together, and it just gives the beautiful, most beautiful contour shade. So going where we applied that liquid contour before, I'm gonna go ahead and just apply this powder. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the skin first, and then we'll go back and finish the eyes. For blush, I'm gonna go in with a mixture of two blushes, which are kind of my two favorites, of one recently and one that has always been my favorite. The two blushes I'm gonna combine is this Sigma powder. This is the Aura powder in the shade Pet Name. And I want to go with this because it's a really beautiful light pink, and because the shadow that we're using is kind of a light pink, I knew that I definitely wanted to use this. But one of my favorite blushes to use with my skin tone as well as my hair color is MAC Peaches. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of combine the two, and it's gonna give me that blush color that I really want. My F10 brush, so first going in with Pet Name, I'm gonna go ahead and apply this starting at the top of the cheekbone and bring it down. Just gonna go ahead and blend this kind of in circular motions going down. With a little bit of MAC Peaches, I think I'm gonna go ahead and just apply this on the apples of the cheek and blend it into the rest of the blush color a little bit. Added a little bit too much blush, you can go in with your brush that we used before to set everything and go in and just blend it out a little bit. Now to go ahead and do our highlight. So if you're not a really intense highlight person, I feel like the one I'm gonna use, I usually do it really intense, but you can also do it very minimal so it looks really pretty. If you're not a huge intense highlight person, but you wanna have a little bit of glow, I recommend this one. This is Galactic Beauty in the color, it's the Face Glow in Bronze. And as you can see, it's a really beautiful, beautiful bronzy color if you're not into having a really intense shimmer. But for me, my favorite highlighter when it comes to everyday as well as for bridal is Becca Champagne Pop. It is just my favorite, but for this tutorial, I'm not gonna go intense like I usually do with my highlight. I'm just gonna keep it very soft and minimal. Champagne Pop on my Morphe M501. I'm just gonna go ahead and just lightly add it to the tops of the cheekbones. The thing that I love about Champagne Pop is it just makes your skin look so like healthy. Like I just love Champagne Pop for every day. It's by far my favorite highlighter. So then I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit down the center of my nose, the tip of the nose, and just on the top of the Cupid's bow. I'm not a big fan of putting too much highlighter on the chin because I feel like if it's a lot, it looks like you're really sweaty. So that's why I kind of stay away from doing the chin. I usually just do the cheekbones and the top of the nose. Now that the face is completely done, now we're gonna go ahead and finish up the eyes. So going back into my Lorac palette, I'm gonna go ahead and do the lower lash line first, and then we'll finish up the upper lid. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in with Sable here on my Sigma Flat Definer E15 brush. Going in with my Sigma E30 pencil brush. Now I'm going to go in with the shade Taupe. I'm actually going to mix a little bit of mauve in that as well. I'm going to go ahead and blend. Keep the bottom very, very simple. For our inner corner highlight, I'm going to go back into, where'd it go, Champagne Pop. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in the inner corner of my eye using my Morphe M416. I love using this brush for my inner corner highlight because it's thin. It gets right in there, and I really, really do love it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this right in the inner corner. Now going back to the upper lid, I'm gonna now do a little bit more of definition in this outer corner here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my Sigma E45, which is a tapered blending brush. I love this because it has that point at the end where you can just put it right into that crease and it gives you so much precision. So I'm gonna go with black in the palette, a little bit just at the top or just at that point. And this is where I'm gonna start to deepen this outer corner a little bit. And then back with my Sigma E25, I'm gonna go back in with Sable, and I'm using this color to blend that black out a little bit better. I think I'm also gonna take just a little bit of the black and just put it right in the outer corner just so that the top and the bottom blend together. Back with my pencil brush. And just blend that out. For my eyeliner, I'm going in with my Tarte Skinny Smolder Eyes in Onyx. You can either go with a nude liner if you want, which my favorite is the NARS Rue Bonaparte. You can go with that if you want the eyes to look more open. If you want them to be more defined, I love using a black liner. Tarte is my favorite. It stays in place all day. It's very creamy. If you have an issue where your eyeliner does move and smudge, go ahead, apply the eyeliner, and a tip for you is to go in with a brush. I like using my E15. I go into a black eyeshadow and then I'll go on top of my waterline and I'll set that cream, and that's gonna set it. It's not gonna move, it's not gonna budge. If you're crying on your wedding day, it's not gonna go down your face. Lower lashes, going in with the MAC Giga Black Mascara, and put this on your lower lashes. I just feel like when you put on mascara on your lower lashes, it just opens up your eyes even more. So now the final part of this look are the lips. And I wanna keep them pinky and I wanna keep them nude. So for my lip liner, I'm going in with the Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude Lip Liner. This is one of my favorite nude lip liners and it stays in place all day. So I'm gonna go ahead and line my lips using this. For lipstick, I'm gonna go in with my tried and true, you guys know exactly what I'm gonna say. It's the Anastasia Liquid Lipstick in Pure Hollywood. I think I use this in like every single tutorial of mine, but it is by far my favorite nude liquid lipstick, and it's perfect for your wedding day because liquid lipsticks will stay in place, they don't move, you can kiss, eat, drink, talk, do whatever you want, and this thing will stay on all day. I use this on pretty much every single one of my brides. It's the perfect nude. It's complimentary to everybody. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply this right to my lips. And then after you have your lipstick down, for lip gloss, you can go in with any color that you want. I'm kind of between these two right here. This is by MAC. This is Oyster Girl, and then this one is NARS Strip Tease. I think I'm gonna go with Oyster Girl. I do love MAC Strip Tease, is like my new favorite lip gloss, but I'm gonna go in with Oyster Girl. Like I said, it's always been one of my favorite lip glosses, and it's just gonna look beautiful on your wedding day.